after Thursday night, it's not about the last 3.5 years, it's about the next 4.5 years. And let's run with the Pelosi question. How do we know that was just a bad episode and not just a condition?
Yeah, look, I think the president and his team have a lot of work to do to get him out there to show the American people that he is fit, that he is alert, and that he can not only run the rest of this campaign, but that he can govern the country for another 4 years. So, again, I think that they do have work to do. I think what Nancy said is absolutely accurate. The things are moving a little faster than I expected. I thought they'd have about at least 2 or 3. We were telling our clients they'd have 2 or 3 weeks of polling before they would have to make a decision. I thought, this is a personal opinion, I think they've got probably another 5 to 6 days. I think that things are moving much faster against the president, and we'll see. But they are getting him out this weekend into the swing states, and we'll see how he does on the ABC interview with Stephanopoulos.
What do you think, Charles, he needs to accomplish in those 5 days? What does he need to do?
I think he needs to be unscripted and show people that he is fully there and can make decisions, interact with people. I was with him on Friday night in New York, one-on-one at a big event, but then had about a 3 to 4 minute interaction with him one-on-one. He was very together, very alert. So he needs to show that to the American people instead of this perception that has been lingering of him post-debate of someone that is, really out of it.
Charles, isn't the damage done, given the fact that people are really questioning whether they're being told the truth, especially from some of his advisors? And you have a number of Democratic congressmen, including one from Texas, now verbally saying that they hope he steps down. Does that mean that there already has been too much to shake his reelection chances?
Yeah, so I'd say a couple of things. One, the campaign expected polling, to take a hit, and the PUC stuff that was leaked, was pretty damaging. But again, I think you need to see more than just one poll. You need to see a set of polls over a week or so, and see if they can turn it around. But yes, I think a lot of damage was done. I'm fully on board with that. I understand it. So far, only one sitting member of Congress has called for him to step down. I do think that could be the next shoe to fall, though. Meaning, there's reporting this morning that there's potentially 40 additional elected Democrats that are going to come out and call for him to step down. That is probably the most serious issue, that in addition to further deterioration in polling, because once you've got elected members of your own party asking you to step aside, it's hard to recover from that.
There's also a question of who potentially would take his place. And this has been one of the arguments from some people who are saying that, he's the best shot, sort of to your point, because the other potential candidates, whether it's Kamala Harris, whether it's Gretchen Whitmer, whether it's Gavin Newsom, kind of pull similarly in a head-to-head matchup with Donald Trump. Do you feel like there is sufficient polling to really make that decision, given the fact that some of it isn't that extensive?
Polling to make a decision on who should replace him, or if anyone should replace him?
Both.
Okay, so yes, so on Plan B is absolutely the vice president. I'm here to tell everybody that, and that she may not be the favorite of every donor. A lot of donors come from financial services, and we tend to be a center-right industry. But any notion that the White House, the DNC, or the Democratic congressional leadership is just going to overlook the vice president and go to some other candidate or have an open contested convention, I think is a misread of the situation. The whole point of the vice president is to step in the case of death, incapacitation, resignation, or in this case, the president stepping aside. And I can tell you they're going to try to do everything they can to avoid a contested convention, given what happened in 1968. LBJ's VP did ultimately win that nomination. He was so weakened, they lost the White House to Richard Nixon. I think that if Biden steps aside, they will try to engineer it so that Kamala, the vice president, ultimately locks up the nomination.
Charles, I think it's worth pointing out to our audience that you're wearing 2 hats in this conversation, as both a donor and an individual running a global advisory firm. And forgive me for saying this, and I hope you take this in the spirit in which it's intended. When you said you had a 5-minute exchange with him, when it's behind closed doors and you tell people that he's sharp, cogent, these are things we've heard a million times, and then we all see him in public, and not just Thursday night, for a length of time now, and we see something else. And I just wonder how much tension there is between you as a donor and the opinion you offer on a program like this and the kind of advice that you're giving to clients right now.
Yeah, so I'll give you the same advice. We've had a base case that Biden would win. We haven't changed that yet because he's still in the race, and Thursday was less than a week ago. So as a firm, we don't whip our calls around. We want to try to look at data and make a good assessment. The reason we thought the reason we believed he would win is he'd already beaten him once in 2020. He's got the power of the incumbency, and we think as a firm we will see higher than average turnout by both women and the Democratic base. Women because of abortion rights, and Democrats because Trump's on the ballot. Now, I think the race has changed fundamentally since Thursday night. Absolutely. We want to see if he's going to stay in the race before we make any additional call from here. So I'm sitting here both as a donor watching this very closely, but also as the head of a firm that advises clients on what to do. I think it's hard to make a decision until we have a little more clarity on what the president intends to do. And I think, as I said, we were telling clients yesterday on a call that we thought there was 3 weeks for the White House or for the Biden-Harris campaign.
Yeah.
I think they've got 5 or 6 days to make a decision.
Let's lean on the latter just a little bit. Your position as an advisor, can we just lean on that a little bit more? I want to understand from your perspective. Traditionally, the incumbent would have some advantages. I just wonder if it's actually a disadvantage for Biden. If you think about how 2020 played out, he got to make this a referendum on the former president. This feels like a referendum on him, and not what he's delivered in 3.5 years, but whether he can last 4, whether he can actually keep this job for that long. How do they change that?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the hardest part of the narrative to change, because I think up until Thursday, this, in fact, had been still partly a referendum on the former president, on Trump, as opposed to the sitting president. Now, I think it's really a referendum on, can the sitting president not only campaign for the next 4 months, but can he serve for 4 more years? And relatedly, what do people think of the vice president? So again, I think in politics, everything is fair. The race changed fundamentally on Thursday night. And, as I said, I think we're going to find out in the next 4 to 5 days whether the president is still in this race. I don't think he's got 3 weeks.
The dam is breaking, as John said, when it comes to different Democratic Congress members, when it comes to advisors, when it comes to people who are starting to leak their feelings to a number of different outlets. Is the dam breaking within the inner circle of Joe Biden that we keep hearing about, that keep saying, keep going, run?
So no, I'm not part of the inner circle, but I would, from everything I'm seeing and picking up, is that no, the inner circle, which is his family and his closest advisors and the campaign team who've been with him a very long time, still absolutely believe he should keep fighting. Again, this is a man who's dedicated his entire life to public service and reached the pinnacle of world power. To drop out after a really bad debate or a terrible stumble on the campaign trail, it would be highly unlikely. By the way, I wouldn't advise any politician to drop out after that. There's always a chance to turn things around in a campaign, and they're trying very hard. It's just that, again, the pressure is building faster on him to drop out of the race. And I think that that's probably been a bit of a surprise to the campaign. And I think we will see more electeds coming out saying he needs to. And the biggest risk, in a way, is his liability down ballot, right, with elected Democrats in vulnerable seats, both in the House and the Senate, in really tough races. That's where we're hearing, and I'm hearing, the most pressure and much more panic, actually, than amongst the donors.
I've got 30 seconds left on the clock. Charles, just to fit this in, do you think people are underestimating Kamala Harris? It's almost become a joke.
Absolutely.
Do you think she can win?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Look, Kamala Harris has 3 advantages. One, she'll be totally underestimated. In politics, having low expectations is one of the greatest advantages you could have. Secondly, she gets all the Biden-Harris money, which is not able to be transferred to any other candidate. So she gets the war chest. She'll be very well funded. Third, look at her approval rating with Democrats, 84%. She's much more popular than the president with young voters. She's very popular with black voters, and she'll help drive women, turnout by women. I think people will totally underestimate the vice president. I'd put my money on her.